Good morning, everyone. This is Katie with NLFX Professional. I have Kristin with, is it RDJ Rocks or your
Yep.
RDJ Rocks? I thought so. Awesome. So, Kristin, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
So I am based out of Orlando, Florida. I own RDJ Rocks, which is one of the only all-female DJ companies in the U.S. So I'm very proud to say that, and I'm super proud of all my girls and my DJs. We primarily focus on weddings, but we also do corporate. And then we have our sister company, Photo Booth Rocks, which is a photo booth rental company. When we were not in a worldwide pandemic, I essentially am the CEO, GM, DJ, marketing guru for two of these brands that did between 800 to 900 events annually. So it definitely was a lot to manage, but super fun. You know, we get to do what we love. So
Kristin, how did you get into DJing? And I mean, your marketing is like spot on. I can tell, like, I follow you and it's just like spot on. So what's your background? How did you get into it?
So my first passion is actually marketing. I have a bachelor's degree from the University in Central Florida in ad PR with a minor in marketing. And then I did a minor in education, which I decided we're not going that route. So my first love is everything to do with marketing, branding, promotions, and everything. And when I was in college, I just so happened to be friends with a DJ who literally was doing it as a career. And I'm like, wait, so you play music for 4 hours and you get to make money. And so to me, I was like, this just sounds like a fun job. I want to do it too, to make money. So I kind of fell into DJing a little bit. And then, you know, guys, we've been through this before. So 2009, when the economy got really bad, because it was just, I don't even remember why, is when I launched, or at least started building to launch RDJ Rocks. And so I think that between my passion for marketing, people, and music, it just kind of like, here we are.
It just blended really well together.
Yeah.
I love it. So when you were little, you wanted to be a teacher because you did child education?
So it's funny. So actually, when I was little, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I think at one point I was like, I want to be a marine biologist, but then I realized what I had to study and I'm like, no. You know, a lot of friends were in the medical field and I'm like, can't do blood or bones or anything like that. So it really wasn't until I, you know, was in my early 20s that I kind of started to figure out what I wanted to do, because I didn't know marketing was a thing. And so when I was in college, you know, just networking, and I was in different groups and leadership groups and just different clubs, you know, you meet new people and that's when you kind of find new things. And so when someone said, yeah, I work at an advertising company, I was like, oh, what does that do? You know, so that's kind of what piqued my interest for that industry as a whole. And so, yeah, this is definitely not the career that I envisioned my whole entire life, for sure.
I love it. Though, let's talk a little bit more about how you are all female. Like you have a staff of all female. Is that a decision that you made early on? Tell me a little bit about that.
That's really a great question. I promise you guys, it was never the intention from day one. I promise. And actually, truly speaking, from the very get-go, I never intended to have a team at all. It was just supposed to be me, and DJing for me was fun until I figured out what I wanted to do next. It was supposed to be the stepping stone to whatever was next. Little did I know the next was building this, you know, huge multi-op. But yeah, it got to the point where my clients and my couples were saying, well, you're not available, you know, give me a referral. And so I would give them my referrals, which were amazing DJs in this area that I'm still great friends with. But then the questions got deeper. They were like, no, I want a female. And so I'm like, there weren't that many in Central Florida. And so I think that just kind of stayed in the background of my mind, never forefront. And then it just so happens, I mean, I don't know. I'm a firm believer in like your vibe attracts your tribe. And I think that, you know, everything I do kind of attracts like-minded women. And so people would just be in my presence and I'm like, hey, I need help this weekend. Do you want to come out and help me? And so then they would get a little taste of it. They would fall in love with it like I did. And that's kind of how the first few DJs started. And then it was like, wait, I think I might have something here. So, I mean, it really was organic and totally unintentional.
And how many team members do you have right now?
So for DJs, we are at 8 DJs and about 35 team members. We have office staff, and we also have event staff and then photo booth attendants too. So.
Looks like Dawson says, good morning, ladies. Guys, again, if you have questions, write them in the comments. I am monitoring them as we speak. So Kristin is all ears. If you have questions, go ahead and write them. So I know we had a short conversation before we started here about doing events currently in the state of things. I don't even know how to word that.
In the state of the state.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about that. I know you did some events last weekend. So can you explain to me some things that you're doing, preventative measures and whatnot?
Yeah, so I definitely think the state that we're in, we have to be very, I guess, thoughtful of everything, right? Like, it's not just about, let me grab the equipment, throw it in the van and like, let's go. For me, I want to make sure that I am protecting my girls. And also too, when it comes to the level of protection, keep in mind, guys, that they are also employees, not contractors. So there's a different level of requirement that I'm supposed to have. And so, I mean, we spent hours coming up with, standard operating procedures, safety procedures, protocols. All of a sudden, remember that medical field that I don't want to have anything to do with? I know way too much now, but I have to, and it's because I just want to keep us safe. And I really don't want to live in fear. And so for me, it's about finding the facts and not making decisions on fear. And so I do spend hours at night reading CDC guidelines, reading, OSHA articles on how to be compliant, how to keep people safe, and really what is happening, because I had to block out the news. It's too much. And so some of the things we do, on a weekly basis or prior to events is things like, you got to keep your mask on, guys. I hate to tell you this, but the particles are going to fly that way. So keep your masks on. Washing our hands constantly. I do encourage all the girls to stay healthy. So I definitely have made sure to maintain that, extra vitamins, elderberry, like that kind of thing. With our photo booth side of the business, that had definitely been the trickiest because you are right near everybody who comes to the weddings, right? As a DJ, we're kind of at our booth and they're out there dancing, masks or no masks. But when you have a photo booth, they're walking up and they're not wearing masks. And so for those of you who aren't doing events yet, just know that, my assumption is going to be that most people aren't going to wear a mask when they go to a wedding. So, couple different things we've done, which our clients have absolutely loved. We have given them the option to have props or not have props. And we made these cute little signs that are like branded that say dirty props. Get it? Like, what's the spinoff of the NSYNC song? Dirty Pop, right? So we made a cute little sign. And so every single time they get out of the photo booth, they put it in the dirty prop bin and we are washing them every time. Definitely had to spend a couple $100s on PPE, but I think it's worth it. And I think that our clients are more now than ever truly being in the moment. And I think now is when it matters to create the moments. We've always done that. We've always believed in that, but I think it just is a little bit deeper now.
Are you finding that weddings are smaller or are they about the same size?
Right now, like today and in July, they're the same size. What I am finding as the conversations are coming for our fall weddings, they're having to make that difficult decision of, do I postpone and keep the same size? Or do I keep it on the same date and decrease the size? And I think that that's kind of the conversation that our couples are having right now.
Are you involved with your couples right now with that conversation?
Somewhat. It depends. So some of them, their wedding planners email us and they say, hey, they're postponing, here's the new date, and there's one date option, that definitely is a lot more complicated than the ones who say, hey, I'm thinking about postponing. What are my options? What do I need to do? And so I love having those conversations because we can say, well, keep the same date, cut your guest size, or let's say it's a venue shutdown. We have a lot of couples who are getting married at Disney venues. They are not open. And so we can have conversations like, well, you can have a backyard. I mean, there are some gorgeous homes in Florida. So a lot of people are going, to the grandparents' house on the lake, doing it there, or maybe they're having a micro wedding. Or maybe, we give them the option of, hey, just cut your guest list and we can live stream the rest of it. So I love it when they give us at least the floor to give them some opportunities so that they know all their options.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the live streaming aspect of it. Did you incorporate that pretty quickly after the pandemic struck, or is that something that you're just getting into now? And how are you going about doing that?
So I'm going to make this really simple because this question is definitely popular. We waited. We did not jump on the live stream train for weddings right away because I wanted to make sure that I didn't take my focus on what mattered most, and that was taking care of all of the clients that had to postpone. So I couldn't innovate in those first few months. I just had to make sure that I was doing what I do best, right? And so now we're just kind of jumping into that. And we kept it really simple. We reached out to a few partners in Orlando that we knew were doing live streaming, and we're like, hey girl, hey, can we partner on this? And so I know that they have the right equipment. They had already been live streaming before this. And I want to make sure that just like the service I provide goes off without any hiccups at all, I know that when I hire them and bring them in, we're going to have no issues. So that's the route we decided to go.
I love that. It's just like you're taking all the stress out of it, making sure it's done right. And it's something you can offer now. That's awesome.
Yep.
So Kristin, throughout your career as a DJ, is there any particular person or persons that you have looked up to kind of looked to as a mentor?
Oh my gosh. Can we roll the credits and have like a laundry list of them? Absolutely. I mean, let's just start naming them. Mike Walter has always been someone that I look up to in how he runs his business and how he carries himself. And if you've read any of his books, his journey is very inspiring. You guys know I love marketing. So Mr. Joe Bunn, always had a crush on his marketing. As far as skills, I would say, Jason Jani, his creativity when it comes to music is just another level. Jenny's commenting, she's like all the mentors. Nick Spinelli, Dawson High. I mean, the list really could go on. And I think for me, it was important to step outside of my own circle and really look at what else is out there. Because I am my own person, but I do think that we can all learn from each other in different ways. So if I didn't mention you, I'm sorry, I do have a long list of mentors. And it just depends on for what. Another one that comes to mind is Mitch Taylor. Because I love kind of sharing my experiences and teaching people. And so from that perspective, he inspires me. We'll just say just to name a few.
Okay, cool. So another question that I have kind of piggybacking off that one is, what does success mean to you?
Ooh, good question. I think the definition for success for me over the last 10 years of having RDJ Rocks has definitely changed over time. So I'll answer that question and what it means right now today. And I think success for me is a balance of continuing to love what I do, knowing everything I've learned, even the hardships and the really, really low lows and even the high highs, take that and then be able to lead by example, and then continue to excel in whatever that means. And then there's also a portion of that that is a work-life balance. I have definitely spent way too many hours working because I love it. I absolutely love working, but there have been times that I have lost myself in that, and I wasn't maybe the best stepmom or wasn't the best wife. And so I think figuring out a happy balance of, you know, what my family needs from me, what my friends need from me, and then still being able to slay on the other side. So I would say success is a balance of hashtag all the things.
Love it. So one other thing I want to touch on real quick is, you know, you do have an all-female team. You're obviously a female in the industry. And I like to talk about this when I talk to other females in the industry, because I've heard some stories where, you know, trying to get into the industry as a female can be difficult. So did you find anything in that sense, you know, as a female DJ?
Oh my gosh, my heart is starting to pound. Absolutely. Yes, 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 50 million times. And I don't think I get it as much today as I did maybe the first 7 years. And I hope that's maybe because I have consistently proven myself time and time again. But absolutely. I mean, I remember my first gig, and I will probably cry even thinking about this, but I was DJing an event, and we had a photo booth there. My husband was the photo booth attendant. That's how long ago it was. And a photographer I was working with, I said, I'm thinking about starting my own DJ business, you know, just to kind of get me by. And without any hesitation at all, he looked at me and he said, well, what makes you so different? DJs are a dime a dozen. You just ripped my dreams to shreds. And, you know, being young and being female, the respect just was not there. And obviously I didn't come out of the gate, you know, as talented as some of the DJs that are out there. And so I really was self-taught, and you don't know what you don't know. And so it definitely was difficult. But if there is a female out there and you're watching and you are having a hard time breaking through the barrier, shoot me a DM. One of my goals for RDJ Rocks is really to create an environment where women feel safe. We can make great money, love what we do. And, you know, I can kind of be that support for them, because I definitely know that feeling for sure.
It's kind of to piggyback off that question. When your potential clients do reach out to your couples, are they aware that you have are they looking for a female DJ, or do they kind of expect to have men as well as an option?
So that's a great question. I think in the beginning, it wasn't so obvious because I didn't really push, you know, that we were all female DJ company. And then I realized over time that there were people that connected with that, whether that was a brand who was a little bit more feminine and maybe whose core values aligned with ours. And so it was the best fit, regardless of gender, to be honest. And then I also think that there are people out there who just want to support and connect with like-minded individuals. And so we do have brides all the time that are like 100% all female, like they'll change their date for us, which is great. I love it. You know, it's kind of cool that we get to be a part of that planning early on. And now we just use it. And we just launched a new version of our website, and straight up headline, all female DJ company, let's go.
I love it. So it looks like we are at about our time. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to add?
No, I think today was great. You know, anybody out there who's watching, I would just say, don't let yourself get discouraged. I know times right now are the hardest, but, you know, find new habits, find a new routine, and just keep you doing you and living your passion.
I do have one final question. My son, Jackson, gets to ask it every week. He's 10. He just turned 10. And he actually asked it in the truck yesterday, so I'm going to roll with it. The question is if you could relive one day over and over and over again, like kind of like Groundhog Day, what day would that be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It's a tough one. I don't even think I could answer. I didn't answer it.
So I don't know if there's one day, but there's definitely one day in different scenarios that do happen quite often, and I make sure to manifest that. And those are the days that I get to connect with people who inspire me the most. And so, for example, those would be days where, let's say, I get to fly to a DJ conference and it's like all day brainstorming. And then you go out at night and you get to listen to great music, hang out with great friends. And I think when I get to surround myself, with people like that who lift me up, those are my favorite days. And obviously, wedding days.
Yes. Awesome. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for joining me, Kristin. I really enjoyed our conversation. Make sure you go ahead over to Instagram and give us both a follow, NLFX Katie and our DJ Rocks on Instagram. Yep. Right? Awesome.
Our DJ Rocks is our company, and then you can follow me at Meet Kristin.
Perfect. All right, guys. I'll see you next week.